Excellent. Well, welcome everybody. You're at an information session about the San Jose State Master of Science or MST program. And before I introduce myself, Tiffany, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tiffany, and thank you so much for showing up today. I hope to be able to help you along the way and see you as an applicant to the Masters of Science in Taxation program.
All right. Adriana, did you want to introduce yourself? I don't know if you're tied up with the live streaming activities, but there you go.
Hi. My name is Adriana. I work for University Marketing and Communications, and I'm here to help with the live stream.
All right. Well, thank you very much. All right. So let's get right into the basics of our MST program. And if Tiffany has your email, if you had RSVP, she has your email. She'll share these slides with you, probably sending them out tomorrow or by Monday. Our MST program, well, obviously we think we have a terrific program. We do all we can to make it a top rate program so far as faculty, curriculum, students that we get. And there are a few rating programs out here. I don't know how all they decide this, but of course we like this one here because they rated us #1 as MST programs. There aren't as many MST programs out there as there are MS accounting programs. And part of that is it's challenging to put together a good quality MST program so far as finding faculty to run this. It's a very technical program, but we're quite proud of ours and eager to always get more top-notch students into the program. So here's one of our alums from several years ago, Lorraine McIntyre, and she's tax director with Camping World, actually. But one of the things she had noted, in addition to getting a lot of tax knowledge, is that it also just improved her confidence level. And she, years ago, was president of the Santa Clara Tax Executive Institute chapter, a very large chapter, about 400 tax professionals from corporate tax departments. And we have a very strong relationship with the Silicon Valley TEI chapter. In fact, this November, we'll be holding our 39th annual, as in 39 years we've been doing this, TEI, San Jose State High Tech Tax Institute, which is a 2-day tax institute, which is nationally known, maybe even partly internationally known. And it's a terrific, unique program helping people keep up to date with what's going on in the tax area relevant to high-tech companies. Here, this slide, Clay Welch, he graduated a few years back, and he came to us. He was already an enrolled agent. And if you don't know what an enrolled agent is, you might want to take a look, because probably if you're in the tax field, it's a good idea to know what an enrolled agent is. Enrolled meaning you have passed 3-part exam provided by the IRS. There is studying involved. You wouldn't just sit down and take this exam. And it's an exam that's just on federal tax topics, but focused on individuals. And Clay thought, well, he was in practice for himself. He wanted to broaden what he had learned from studying for the enrolled agent exam, because he was seeing clients that had tax matters well beyond what's covered on the enrolled agent exam. He learned how to do tax research, something that's not covered on the enrolled agent exam. And he thought this was a terrific way to, again, increase his confidence and broaden and deepen his knowledge of the tax law, as well as how to find answers to tax questions he was coming across. Now, who has an MST? A Master of Science in Taxation is really geared towards somebody who often, about 95% of our students have graduated already with a undergrad degree in accounting. Now, some instead have picked up units to meet the minimum accounting courses that we require to be in the MST program. But say 95% of our students majored in accounting and are planning on going into, or already are in the field of doing tax compliance and planning for clients, maybe working at a CPA firm, or perhaps working at corporate tax department. And we have a few that work at the Franchise Tax Board or at the IRS. You can learn a lot on the job of doing tax work, but you aren't going to get the full picture of everything you really need to know. for example, prior to being at San Jose State, and I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Annette Nellen. I'm director of the tax program at San Jose State. I've been at San Jose State since 1990. Our MST program was there before I came in 1990. And prior to coming in 1990, you're going to think, oh, this person's so old. I was in practice for 10 years. I was at the IRS for 5 years, and I was in public accounting for several years as well. And you do learn a lot on the job. Like when I was in public accounting, one of the first assignments I had was helping a client that was going through a bankruptcy reorg. I learned a lot about bankruptcy reorg, but I didn't learn everything about corporate reorganizations, where there's a code section 368, extensive regs, lots of court cases, and there's all kinds of reorganizations. And I didn't learn all of that in just helping the client with the bankruptcy reorg, which is a type G reorganization, because there's A, B, C, D, E, and F type reorgs as well. But if I had taken a corporate reorganization class, I would have really gotten a very strong foundation understanding that topic. That's what an MST program really will do for somebody, is giving you that broad, deep knowledge of the tax law so that you can identify issues and then excellent research skills to find the underlying law that's going to help you understand what is the compliance, like getting it on a tax form correctly, and what is the planning relevance of the situations that clients might find themselves in. Well, what I'm showing here is that there are a good number of people in the tax field that typically have a degree beyond their accounting undergrad degree. In Silicon Valley, in addition to TEI, which is an international group, we have a Silicon Valley Tax Directors group. And on their website, they've got a little blurb about all 117 members. And so went through and figured out, well, how many of them actually have an advanced degree? 36 of them did have an MST. 18 were attorneys that also had LLM in tax. The curriculum for an LLM in tax is about identical to an MS in taxation. Not unusual for an attorney who's practicing in the tax area to, after law school, at some point go and earn an LLM, a master's of law in taxation. Just like not unusual for an accounting major who's working in the tax field to pursue getting a graduate degree like an MST, because the reality is the tax law is very complicated. It takes unique type of research skills on how to use particular commercial tools that are available on how you actually find the law to answer your questions. And an MST or an LLM in tax, if you're an attorney, is really the kind of working level knowledge to really be an effective tax practitioner. But certainly a majority of these tax directors did have advanced study in the tax, MST or LLM in taxation. All right, we're going to get into our program overview, and you'll get a copy of these slides. You can also easily find us like you did to register for the event tonight at our events page, but you can also find us readily, just San Jose State MST program. We'll have all kinds of links there for you. Well, you might be looking at other MST programs. And again, there aren't a lot of MST programs compared to MBA or MSA programs. So I'll give you some things to think about. Getting an MST, if you're in need of getting 150 units to be able to be a CPA, I know a lot of accounting firms won't hire somebody into their firm unless they've already got 150 units. So this is a great way to get the 150 units beyond your 120 unit bachelor's degree to get the extra units that would then meet 150 to become a CPA in California. There are certain categories you have to make sure you're meeting. Like most graduate business programs, it is a 30-unit program. We're on a semester basis. If you were going full-time, you can complete this degree in 1 year, which would be a fall, spring, and a summer. Or if you're working, you should just take one class at a time. And we actually have 4 times during the year when we are offering courses. So if someone's taking one class each of those 4 terms, they can easily finish in 2.5 years. But you do have up to 7 years to finish the degree. Most people are finishing within 4 years of starting, depending on their workload and other things going on in their life. But if you want to be full-time and finish it in a year, that is quite doable. We have several students doing that. We have a good range of electives. Now, they aren't all offered every term. With some of them show up about every 2 to 2.5 years, and a few they're very popular, are showing up every year, but that can set our program apart from others. There are some MST programs, it takes 30 units and we have 30 units for you to choose from. You don't have any choice beyond that. We've got a few additional choices for you. Given that we are in Silicon Valley, you'll see many of the types of exercises or examples used in class often do focus on something in the high-tech area. And we even have a course taught by a tax director from a large high-tech company that's actually just on high-tech tax matters. We are well supported in time and some funds by a 30-plus member advisory board, and these are folks, they're partners at large accounting firms, law firms. We got the top-ranking person from the Large Business International division of IRS in the area, and also focused on tech matters. We've got a few VPs of tax from companies on our board, and I do occasionally run something about possible change or something to the MST program or curriculum by them, keep them informed of what we're doing. They know they can give us input on anything or something maybe they say changing, like, oh, maybe people need more data analytics in the curriculum. And we've got that covered at this point. But they also help us in actually identifying topics and speakers for our 2-day high-tech tax institute that we run along with TEI and the IRS every November. It's a 2-day conference, and actually MST students can attend that for free. So we are well known, well supported in the tax community. All of the California State University business programs are accredited by the AACSB, which is a high accrediting body. That means we have to have certain educational requirements and publishing requirements that faculty are meeting. We have to have learning objectives and assess those learning objectives and have continual, quality improvement of what we're doing. And it's, again, aimed at getting you a high quality program. And then most business graduate programs do require students to get a certain GMAT score. And if you took the SAT to get into college, it's a similar type exam. But we have a variety of waivers for that. People don't like paying for taking an additional exam. So if we can lessen that off your load, we've got many ways. In fact, any accounting major from San Jose State or any other California State University, that's one example of we'll waive the GMAT for you. There are other requirements to meet though, like GPA undergrad of 3.0 or higher. This slide here is showing what are these learning objectives for our program. And this is really getting at, if you were to come to this program, complete it, what would you gain knowledge and skill wise? And this is again something we're required to have by our accrediting body, AACSB, as well as the university accrediting body, WASC, Western Association of Schools and Colleges, that is not per class, but it's the overall program. When we updated this probably over 20 years ago, and we just updated it a couple of years ago, not major changes, but maybe making it a little more clear. We separated communication out from other learning objectives. We work with folks from our advisory board just asking, okay, when you hire an MST graduate from San Jose State, what is it you expect that they can do and know? And so this is helpful to have the input of folks who hire our students or already employ our MST students. But this will give you an overall feel. If you think, well, how do you have 30 units of tax education? We could easily have 60 units of tax education. The tax law, there's lots to know. But we certainly want to get you a good focus on just the international, global aspects of it, because even a small business or an individual could easily have multi-state and international considerations on their investments, their business activities. So that permeates most of our classes. Being able to do tax research, understanding where does the tax law come from? What do the 3 branches of our government, what is the role they play in producing and shaping our tax law? How do we find that tax law they're producing and use that to help us to identify how a taxpayer's transactions, investments are are to be reported to assist with planning activities. And that's actually the first course you would generally take is this tax research course, because your reading materials for all of your classes actually is the law itself. It's rarely going to be looking at a textbook. In fact, even the few classes that have a textbook, that's the secondary reading material. Your main reading material is reading the law itself. And that's something to watch out for if you're looking at other MST programs. Are they having you just read textbooks or read articles? Because that's not what an MST program is supposed to do. If your clients want assistance, they could hire the author of the book or the author of the article. What can you add to them? You need to be the one that can find that law, analyze it, apply it, and document all of that as well. So research and tax research is a key part. Written oral communication, because it'd be great to have all this knowledge, but if you can't communicate it effectively in the varied appropriate situations, it's not going to be of much use to you or anybody else. The fourth one here on tax policy, I'd say that's another hallmark of our program, that we want you to learn the tax law from the technical perspective, right? Being able to find the law, understand, for example, what makes something an income tax, what makes something a consumption tax, like a sales tax, to know that structure of it, but also what is the appropriate design for an effective tax system. And tax policy is another way to understand the law. We find our students understanding the law from both the tax law from both the technical perspective as well as the policy perspective is a really strong foundation. Plus, they can do more. There might be times when a client or their employer is like, hey, there's something flawed in their tax law. Let's come up with a proposal and send it off to our lawmakers to support why this should be changed, or providing comments on a legislative proposal, but understanding tax policy would be a big help in being able to do that. Anything dealing with money like taxes or dealing with proper legal compliance, ethical considerations come into play. So in the tax law, there are a lot of penalties that can apply to the taxpayer, but also ones that can apply to the tax advisor. So need to have awareness of what those are, why they're there, how to make sure you're practicing in such a way not to have you and your client subjected to penalties. Plus, the IRS has what's called a Circular 230, which are rules of conduct for those practicing for enrolled agent, CPA, or an attorney practicing before the IRS. And if you are a CPA, you would obviously be subject to ethical regs in your state, in the state that you're licensed in, as well as if you're a member of the AICPA, they've got statements on standards for tax services, which are mandatory to be followed. So we address all of those. And then with all this knowledge, you can do just about anything in the tax field. That you could do anything in the tax field. If you wanted to go work for the IRS, or you wanted to work at staff of Senate Finance Committee, or you wanted to work in an accounting firm, corporate department, franchise tax board, IRS, Board of Equalization, the CDTFA, any of those places you could go work. If you wanted to be the VP of tax of Amazon, you've got the starting point to do that. But we want to make sure you are really well aware and have taken the time to really think about, well, how do I plan out my career? What more can I learn? A lot of times it's in the soft skill area. That will make sure that I'm getting the right kind of experience and practice to be able to advance my career. So we have a program a project actually you work on. You can start it when you start the program. It's due the first day of the capstone course. So some people might have 2 or 3 years to finish it. Others are going to have, maybe 6 months to finish it. But it's a good way to help you identify where might you need some additional soft skills. What more do you need? Because, like, for example, today, if you were to look at a job description for a VP of tax, very likely it's going to have something in there about strategic planning, something about DEI initiatives. How do you get that experience? But you want to know that. We don't want students to be, 10 years out in practice thinking, oh, I thought I was going to be a tax director by now. What happened? No, learn how you plan your careers. That's also something unique in our program as well. Okay, something else unique in our program is our scheduling. Today, about 60% of our students are working in the tax field already. The rest tend to be full-time, though even some of our full-time students end up taking an internship for part of their time here, because the job market's been quite good for a few years and probably is going to continue to be quite good for the next many years. So we do schedule classes on a compressed semester. I mean, a semester typically is 16 or 17 weeks. Ours are 8 to 10 weeks. So we meet one night a week from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. But for early spring, late spring, and summer, we actually only have 10 weeks. So you meet 8 weeks, one evening a week, and then typically an all-day Saturday. So we have 10 sessions of 4 hours each. So that's getting you 40 contact hours. And then do expect you're spending at least 3 hours outside of class for every hour in class, same formula that you used when you were an undergrad. And then we schedule to avoid busy tax filing times, like September 15th. Our fall classes start up after September 15th. Now, we're well aware because of a law change, as well as having students that are serving not just large corporations, but individuals who might be on an extension to October 15th. Many of our students would like to start after October 15th, but that's too compressed. We can't get it done by the typical end of the fall semester. But faculty typically are not scheduling, oh, hey, you got this big project due October 15th. No, we work to avoid that. Then for spring, we tend to not have any classes for March 15th or April 15th. So that scheduling is, again, reflecting that just works better for our students. And for students that are full-time, they often find that this scheduling works well for times when classes aren't in session. A lot of our students are studying for the CPA exam, so it works out very well, or maybe they're taking one of the parts of the CPA exam. All right, what's our curriculum? Well, we have 4 required courses, and generally the first one you are taking. I say generally because we also have a summer elective on data analytics, which someone can take before they're actually have taken the tax research, because it's not really involving any legal, tax law matters. It's more, hey, how do I use some of this data analytics software, and why would I ever be using it? But your first class generally is tax research, because you need that knowledge for all the other classes so you can find the law, apply it, and learn from it. Another required course is tax accounting methods, which is basically the when does a taxpayer report income and deductions, how do they account for inventory. Another required course, taxation of business entities, giving you the basic tax law. And I'm not saying basic, but it gets beyond basic, but to understand for typical business type entities, sole proprietor, corporation, S corp, partnership, LLC, what's the tax consequences of forming the entity, operating the entity, liquidating the entity, or perhaps reorganizing the entity. So basics into that topic. And then the capstone course, where there is a project in that class where you're analyzing some possible tax change that you've come up with on your own. Then we have a variety of electives to fill out the 30 units you need to complete your MST degree. Now, of the electives, one course has to be a multi-jurisdictional, such as Introduction to International Taxation, or Fundamentals of Multi-State Taxation, or you could take both. Also, one entity must be a business entities, and that would be either taking partnerships, S corporations, consolidated returns, or corporate reorganizations. At least 2 of those are always offered every year. We alternate among those 4. And then we have a variety of electives. Some of them are offered every year. For example, in the fall, we always have a course called Accounting for Income Tax, which is actually a gap-based course. It's on ASC 740. It's how do you actually do the tax calculation on the financial statement? And that's a very popular course, so we offer that every fall. Taxation of property transactions, we offer that every spring. And that course, as well as one other course we offer in the fall as an elective, are asynchronous online classes, where we try to have a variety of formats to meet the varied needs. And today I know a lot of students might have anywhere from a 2 to 50 mile commute to get to the campus. So I think they do appreciate having a few courses that are available online. But we are a face-to-face program. These classes are in the classroom, other than the taxation of property transactions and the advanced individual tax. Those are two courses that are asynchronous, meaning you're watching lectures. There are due dates for projects. There are times you're checking in with your faculty member. But if you need to take the class from starting at 2 a.m., great, you can do that, which might work well for somebody traveling, and they are key topics that, like the property transactions, some MST programs, it's actually a required course. We also have a few one-unit courses, and those are typically offered in January or before the fall classes start. The thought being that I know some people are eager to get completed, and some for early spring, which is January and February, might say, I'm already too busy with work, I'm not going to be able to take a class. Well, maybe they can still, though, take a one-unit class over a 3-week period in January to help move things along. Not everything necessarily has to be a 3-unit class, so we try to be flexible on what we're offering to students. What's the expectation you should have of us? What's the expectation we should have of you in an MST program? You'd want to be committing to challenging work. Challenging because it's supposed to be more challenging than what you had undergrad. That's also why the high GPA is required. You need to have a 3.0 or higher undergrad GPA to show you can do this level of more rigorous work. Plus, the tax law itself, it's not simple. It is a lot of complexity. Even just reading the law itself, it's not written, in the most simplest, clear terms. Plus, a lot of times, just the transactions are complicated. Then figuring out, well, how does the law apply to this? So you want to be looking forward to, I do want to be challenged. And of course, if you've already in the tax field or you're thinking of entering the tax accounting field, you want to be intellectually challenged. You don't want to have ever a dull moment, or maybe a dull moment, rare occasions, but not every day. I'm a graduate of accounting major out of Cal State Northridge, and my first accounting job out of college, I was a junior accountant for a Fortune 500 company. It was quite fascinating, but I have to tell you, after about 8 months, it was like, okay, doing the same thing next month as I did last month, just different numbers. There were a few other things going on that did make it a little bit interesting, but from there, I went to work at the IRS. Never a dull moment at the IRS. You saw a variety of things. Plus, it was just a different things you want to be aware of in different types of jobs. A lot of autonomy working as I didn't have as many levels of review when I was at the IRS. I was assigned cases, identify the issues, go and meet with the taxpayer and their representative. But just in the tax field, and from there, I went into public accounting in the tax area. Just the law changes frequently. I mean, there's a lot of tax updates every day, not just because Congress doesn't change the law that often, but the IRS issuing regulations, court cases being decided. And that's actually another thing about tax practice is you'll need time to be reading daily updates to tax law, but we will help you on how do you do that? What should you be looking for? How do you use your time effectively to be staying up to speed? But just want to say, the coursework is challenging. Any graduate program should be challenging compared to what you had as an undergrad. But then the tax law, it's just challenging. I can't, no one can deny that. And make sure you've really got the time to be successful. So if you're going to be a part-time student, because you're working full-time. If you are working full-time, you just want to take one course at a time, because again, we're a compressed semester. The course is just going to be over 8 to 10 weeks. And you want to make sure you're doing your best to have the time for that. So if you were taking, you got 4 hours a week of class time, well, if you're going to spend another roughly 3 hours for every hour in class, you got another 12 hours, you got 16 hours plus some commute. So one thing to really think about is look at your schedule that you have now. Can you fit in, if you're going to be going part-time, can you fit in, 16 hours a week additional additional time for study. And if not, is there anything you can be moving off, or maybe this just isn't going to be the time at this point to be getting your MST degree? But people do very well in the program when they've got the time to do it. Where I occasionally find students having a challenge, like maybe getting some low grades or even going on probation, is they're just way overcommitted. They have too many other things going on. They're working lots of hours, or they have a long commute, or they've got lots of family obligations at the time. Probably not the time for them to be going into any graduate program. All right, the costs. We're a very reasonably priced program. I know you can get this whole degree for just about $23,000, and it's mainly just the tuition you're paying. There's only a few courses where there actually would be a book that you would have to buy. Most of the classes, there is no book because you have access through the library to these law materials that you need for reading the code, the regulations, court cases, and doing the research that you need. Just in contrast, and we are a good price program, and it's not because we're cheap or anything. We've got outstanding faculty. But I guess the question really to ask is, why are some other programs so expensive? I know at USC it's about $65,000 to get an MST, and I think our program's actually better. Price doesn't really have any bearing necessarily on the quality that you're getting. We're high quality. You can take a look at our faculty and adjuncts and the curriculum and everything, and I think hopefully you'll agree with that. All right, a little bit about, well, how do I get into this program? Right, you're eager to now you know a little bit more about how to get into it. Okay, typically I say our students, 95% of them, they majored in accounting. If you majored in accounting from a U.S. university, you've met the prerequisite courses to get into the program. But then what you need is a GPA 3.0 or higher undergrad to get in. And if you don't meet one of our GMAT waivers, you will need to take the GMAT, or you can take the GRE or the LSAT. Most people would not take the LSAT, but some people might have been thinking, well, do I want to go to law school, or do I want to get an MST? So if they already have an LSAT score, that might work, but typically people are taking the GMAT or GRE. But in the recent years, we've expanded the list of waivers for who doesn't need to take the GMAT. So I actually don't see many people taking the GMAT. Another waiver we have, if you've passed the CPA exam, you don't have to be a CPA yet, but if you've passed the exam, or even if you've passed the enrolled agent exam, that will waive the GMAT as well. Now, if you don't have an accounting undergrad degree, I will show you what additional courses you need to make sure you have taken. And here's a list of the GMAT waivers, say for San Jose State student or alum, or an accounting major from any California State University will waive the GMAT. And I find typically that, let you all know, I find that the students who do really well in the MST program tend to have gotten B+ or higher in their intermediate accounting and their undergrad tax course. And those are rigorous courses. It's a good indicator, are you ready for graduate level work? Okay, if you don't have an accounting undergrad degree, and we do see students like this, so we've had a couple decide, oh, I don't want to be an engineer anymore, or I majored in something else. And sometimes they've actually gravitated into some accounting or tax program, and they realize, oh, I can't go any further. I need to get, something more, or they want to go into a different, high level type of tax work. And MST is a great way to get your entry into, hey, the job market's now looking for me, right? Because there's job fairs that you could be going to, meet the firms. So that's an opportunity you've got as well, being in MST program. So if you don't have an accounting undergrad degree from a U.S. university, then the minimum accounting courses you do need would be the 1-year introductory, and that's typically the principles of accounting and managerial accounting that all business majors take. Then you would need to take intermediate accounting 1, intermediate accounting 2, and an undergrad income tax course. And you can pick up those courses at San Jose State through Open University if you don't have them. Though I will let you know, sometimes our courses are full, but you'll also find that like UC Extension would have these. Also, there are several community colleges that offer these courses. The Principles of Accounting and Managerial is a lower division course. The other ones are upper division, but we do have community colleges offering these upper division courses as well, such as De Anza, College of San Mateo. So you'd be okay to pick the courses up there, or say you can pick them up at San Jose State. And we got a website with all this information, as well as a reminder about due dates and all these things. Plus, something we just launched this fall is for San Jose State students. And this would be if they have an accounting graduate from San Jose State within the past 2 years. And if they are admitted here, like for spring of 2024, it's the next time applications are open. And if they earned a B+ or better in Intermediate 1, Intermediate 2, and their required undergrad tax course, a B+ or better, we're just right off the bat, we're just going to give them a $1,500 scholarship that's available to the first 20 San Jose State accounting majors that meet that. All right, then something else I need to say that we just changed this year is we do admit students for both fall semester and spring semester, but we've made a change starting this coming spring. We're about to start fall, so for coming spring, we will not be offering in the spring semester our tax research course, and that is the first course you need to take. Now, if you're thinking, oh, but I want to apply for spring semester, if you're able to take, if you meet the qualifications, like I've already finished my undergrad degree, I'm eager to go, but I've missed the fall application, you can take that tax research course this fall. It doesn't start until after September 15th, so you get plenty of time to apply, and you take it via Open University, and then you would be able to apply for spring semester because you already would have taken the tax research, which is a prerequisite to other classes that are out there. Or if you have experience, like, oh, in my job, I'm already a manager working at a public accounting firm, and I know how to use, Checkpoint and Find the Law and all that. If you've got that, then you could take other classes in the spring. You still have to take the tax research course, but I can delay you taking that. So that's actually new for spring. But here it is mid-August, and our fall tax research class starts after September 15th. So say if you are eager to apply for fall, but you need to take the tax research, let's see if you can actually take it this fall via Open University. Open University is something that all of San Jose State has. I think actually all the CSUs have them, where if you meet the qualifications to take the class, like, oh, I've got an accounting degree, or I've got 3.0 undergrad, all that, and it's just a very simple application process compared to applying to the whole program. And if there's room in the class, and we do have room in our fall research class, then you take the class, you pay the regular fee, you get a grade, it goes in your transcript, and then when you're admitted to the MST program, that grade and units go over towards your 30 units for the degree. And we've got a link on our website with all kinds of information, including one for Open University to learn more about that, plus the online form. It's a very informal form. It's just coming to me and my colleague, Kathy Dougherty. We take a look at it. And we do look at an unofficial copy of your undergrad transcript. Okay, so I'm sorry, that's what I had just said here. If you're thinking, I'm not ready for spring, but I'm ready for fall, no problem. We have the research class offered in the fall. And if you have any question on that, please feel free to shoot me an email, and you'll have all of that. And we do actually offer some scholarships based on financial need as well as GPA. Plus, there are some other scholarships out there as well. Cal CPA, AICPA, you'll probably find you have some other organizations that do offer scholarships. If you are working, always good to ask your employer, will you cover my tuition? Some employers do. Unfortunately, it's not as many as was the case years ago. Additional things that we offer for our students is the opportunity to attend TI meetings. The Silicon Valley chapter usually has a monthly meeting. Usually they're all day on a very intense dive into some current tax topic, plus as well being able to attend our 2-day High-Tech Tax Institute. We also have, if you're going to be seeking an entry-level job upon finishing your MST, you definitely want to join Beta Alpha Psi, which is an honorary accounting club, because that's where the recruiters will hope to expect to meet you. You have opportunity to deliver financial literacy, because you think the tax law is pretty complicated. You think, oh, well, filing obligations or itemized deductions or standard deduction, that's all pretty straightforward. Yeah, teach it to some other college students or to the community. Great practice on that. What this picture here is actually of an etiquette workshop. We've been doing that for a very long time because we want to make sure you are fully ready for your whole possible tax career connection here. And we do run across sometimes students like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to send a thank you note after I had that interview. In fact, that I've heard feedback before where, the person looked good, but they didn't follow up a thank you note. So that knocked them off the list here. But we go through dining and business etiquette at our orientation. In fact, actually today, the MSA and the MBA students also go through this etiquette workshop that we've been doing in the MST program for some time. I run every semester a interview skills workshop, and we'll make sure you are as ready as possible for interviews. And we also make sure you're reflecting on our program very well. And then you have opportunities for doing mock interviews. We have, which is unique, a student-run online tax journal. We publish twice a year. We're in our 12th year of publishing. You have the opportunity to write for that. We also have editor and assistant editor. They're only a few hour a week work, but that's good. Opportunities where meet with writing consultants, and if you want to do some volunteer tax compliance, which if you haven't done any, certainly if you're a full-time student, good to make the time. You have opportunities to volunteer and get training through either the IRS VITA program or TaxAid. And here is our MST journal. We get like about 7,000 hits a month from throughout the world, mostly the United States, but we're very proud of this very high quality journal. A little bit more about the Open University. And actually, another thing about Open University, if you're like, well, I'm not sure, is this really for me? Do I have really the time commitment to make this happen? You can take up to 9 units via Open University before you apply to the program. We do sometimes find if someone starts Open University thinking, oh, I'm just going to take, 9 units. Most cases, they end up applying to the program because once they're in, for example, the tax research, and they see other students getting an MST, it's like, oh, yeah, this is going to be very helpful to my current job or to me getting a job. And actually having the letters MST after your name sends a very strong signal in the accounting and tax community that you know your tax items here. This is our little graphic for our tax program with the T showing, leadership, great ideas, the A, showing high-tech focused, and the X showing a tax policy perspective you get out of this program as well. So here's my email, as well as an email to the Graduate Business School, where you can reach Amir, is one that helps with going through the applications and making sure you're getting all your parts of the application together. That also reach Tiffany as well. And I believe that QR code is still working there. I didn't notice on the, let me just pull up the, okay, I don't see that any questions came in, but I can open it up for questions. You want to type them into the chat, or those of you who are with me here live, if you'd like to either even unmute and ask the question, or feel free to type it into the chat. Tiffany, anything you want to add while people are thinking if they want to ask a question? The deadline, how about the deadline to apply for spring?
The deadline to apply for spring is November 1st, and we practice rolling admission. So the sooner you reach out to us with question or begin to submit your application, the sooner we'll be able to process your application and give you a timely decision. So get it in, and you don't need to have everything in one day. You can submit your application and circle back to submit other materials like your resume and documents like that. So, one step at a time. So we look forward to seeing your application.
Okay. Then again, for spring admissions, you had to have taken already the tax research class, which if you're eligible, like you have a bachelor's degree and you've met the course prerequisites, if you have an accounting bachelor's degree, you're set, ready to go. You could take the tax research course that's going to be offered this fall. Or if you have experience using like REA Checkpoint, CCH Teleconnect, you've done research, you had problems at work where, I got to go read this code section or these regulations, then you can start in spring and wait till fall to take the research class. Okay, let's check the chat again here. Do we have any questions coming in? Okay, well, glad to give you a few minutes back. You're busy folks, but if any question comes up, please send me an email. It's on that slide, and we'll get the copy of the slides out to you. You can also easily find me, Annette Nellen, through a Google search, and information about our program as well. But I hope this is something that, if you're pursuing a tax career, that it's like, this is what I'm going to need. And again, you'll see accountants and attorneys in the tax field, kind of the working knowledge today is it's going to require, for the accountants, will have an MST degree, or the attorneys, they typically getting an LLM in tax. And the tax law is not getting any simpler. That will not be happening in the near or distant future. If anything, it tends to get more complicated every year, as do transactions that have tax consequences.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and Tiffany just put my email in the chat there. But thank you very much for attending, and those of you who are attending via the live stream, thank you very much. I hope this answered your questions. If not, please shoot me an email and we will take care of it. And we hope to see you in the MST program in the near future. Thank you very much.